Hello, and welcome back to Grim Happenings, where we explore real paranormal experiences and the energy that lingers long after the lights go out. I'm your host, Trisha, and today's episode takes us inside one of the Midwest's most haunted locations, the Ohio State Reformatory. Our guest, Kelly, is a paranormal investigator here to share an experience that went far beyond the typical investigation. Thank you for joining me today, Kelly. Before we get started, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As Trish said, my name is Kelly. I've lived in Michigan my entire life. I'm a wife, mom of two grown daughters. I have a fur baby named Jackson. And obviously one of my hobbies and loves is paranormal investigating. I love helping people who might have some issues with the paranormal. And in 2016, I started out as a paranormal investigator on a small team. 2017, I joined a little bit bigger team. And in 2019, myself and a few other friends started our own team, Detroit Rock City Paranormal. So right now we have a team of about 15, 16 people.
Wow.
And we do private and public investigations. And by private, I mean like home investigations. And we do some events that the public can come ghost hunt with us.
Nice. That's awesome. So I want to hit back on your fur baby. What kind of fur baby?
Jackson is a Heinz 57. He's a rescue.
I love that.
Yeah, he was a rescue. He's a sweet puppy. He was supposed to be Chihuahua and French bulldog mix,
but
I think he's more French bulldog pit bull mix. He's not tiny. He's like 47 pounds, but he's a good boy.
Nice. Yeah. Since we last spoke, we actually acquired another dog, so we have 3 dogs now.
Okay.
My grandma passed away, and her dog was kind of just hanging out there. Nobody would take it, so I was like, we have to take her. So we're giving her her best life. She's already 11, so hopefully she'll be with us a couple more years, but yeah, she's a little dachshund.
I'm sure she's loving it.
Oh, she is. She's such a happy puppy. It makes me happy. But thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. I really appreciate it. I didn't realize your team was so big. That's amazing. That's really awesome. So you also told me that you just got back from a trip from New Orleans.
I did.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Was this your first time going?
No, I was in New Orleans back in 2019. Okay. And that was just like a general trip. This one was specifically a spooky trip. So we did a lot of investigating and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know you haven't been able to get through a whole lot on your own as far as like reviewing your evidence or whatever. Can you give us one location that you liked the most, though?
Yeah. Well, we went to the Provincial Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We actually were investigating with New Orleans Paranormal Society.
Oh, nice.
And I guess they take you to some like secret locations. They
That's
tell
so
you
cool.
at the time. So we didn't know where we were going. But it was one of the locations we went to, and it was pretty active. We got a lot of, SLS camera activity and some dead bell. Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
I can't wait to hear how your evidence turned out and like what you guys caught. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, it's been one of the places on my bucket list for so long. And every year we say, we're going to plan it. We're going to plan it. We're going to plan it. Soon.
Do it. If you like spooky, there's lots of spooky stuff there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the Ohio State Reformatory. So can you give us a little bit of history, I guess, on the location first?
Sure. As you mentioned, it's rated as one of the most haunted locations in Midwest U.S. The reformatory itself was built in 1886, and it was finished in 1910. And it was a working facility until 1990, which is not that long ago.
No, not at all. Wow.
And it's located in Mansfield, Ohio. The reformatory was originally called the Intermediate Penitentiary. It's accepted inmates who were too old for accepted inmates that were too old for juvenile corrections, but had committed offenses more minor than those that would actually go to a prison. The facility admitted its first inmates in 1996 after 10 years of construction. The goal of the institution was truly to reform rehabilitate the inmates. A lot of them were younger.
Yeah.
And they received 3 things during their stay at OSR. They received religion and some kind of trade. Okay. So that when they were released, they had something to fall back on. Inmates were admitted for 18 months. And if they showed progress, they would be released after the 18 months was up. If not, they received another 18 months.
Oh my goodness.
By early 60s, the state pulled its financial support from the reform model and began converting OSR into a maximum security facility. So, and then it was that until 1990 when they finally closed the doors. And if anybody's familiar, there's a few films that were filmed
Mhm.
there. The Shawshank Redemption was there. That's probably the best known
Oh, it's
one.
classic.
And some other ones were Harry and Walter Go to New York, and Tango and Cash, and Air Force One.
Nice.
So yeah, I didn't know Air Force One was
Yeah,
filmed there,
me
but that's
neither.
kind of cool too.
Now I want to go watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Do you find when you do go watch these movies, like, and not realizing you've been to that place, to be like, oh, I remember that?
Well,
Like, it's kind of like fangirling, like, I've been
well, yeah, exactly. It's crazy too, like especially if you like have watched a movie and then you
there.
go there and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, I remember this from a movie or a
Yeah.
TV show or whatever.
So interesting.
That's pretty
Very
cool.
cool. Very cool. Thank you for giving us a little bit of history. I feel like a lot of these places do have a lot of energy, and it's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of these places they started out with good intentions, and it just kind of goes downhill. So it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad. Give us your tour. Like, what happened? How did you guys come upon being able to investigate this place? And were you with just your group, or were you with other people?
Actually, it started out as just our group,
Mhm.
but because it's such a huge facility,
Mm.
I think you're allowed like 20 or 30 people,
Oh, wow.
like for
Okay.
overnight investigation. And so we just, we have some teams that we
Mhm.
know and have worked with or
Nice.
whatever. So we opened up, invited them if they wanted to attend. But typically, what we do is our team in general, we usually try to choose at least one location a year
Mm.
where we can go as a team and just kind of like hang out and
Yeah.
investigate together. Because usually, when we do like home investigations, there's only a small group of us that goes.
Mm.
And then when we do the private or the public investigations, we're usually with the public and we're doing
Yeah.
things with them. So we're not really like hanging out and really, getting to investigate ourselves. So
Nice.
that's what we do every year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. I love that. So what time of the year were you guys investigating?
We went there in the summer.
Okay.
I think it was like June timeframe.
Oh, okay.
So it was nice because it wasn't too hot, and
Mhm.
obviously most of the location is not air conditioned.
I was gonna say
So
summer
yeah,
might be a little touchy. Yeah, we did the Whitney in the summertime, like in July, and it was so hot in the carriage house. It was ridiculous.
I
They
bet.
have like no airflow in there. So yeah, I could see how bad these places can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so give us kind of like a layout of your investigation. Like what happened? What were some of the really cool things that you caught? And then, of course, the ultimate like experience that you will never forget.
Okay. Well, it's like most typical haunted locations. If you do that kind of thing,
Mhm.
when you go there, they kind of give you like a tour.
Mhm.
So they kind of show you where all the hot spots are, and kind of give you a tour and some of the history
Mhm.
of specific areas within the building. And any kind of rules or anything, like, a lot of places have like, no seances
Yeah.
or, that kind of thing. So it's just that for like the first hour or so is pretty generic. And then they kind of like, it's nice because they have like an area where you can like store all your equipment, you can bring, beverages, food, snacks, whatever. So you just have like a home place to put everything and then you
Yeah.
can kind of go wherever. And pretty much from there, we just kind of broke up into groups,
Mm.
which is kind of nice because we did have, a lot of people. So you could like break into groups and like
Nice.
switch up groups,
Yeah.
in the night and that kind of thing. So yeah, they gave us a lot of good information. But the
Mhm.
funny thing is if you, and I don't know if we still do, because again, this was back in, I think, 2020, right? Kind of like right after the COVID thing,
Okay.
things were just starting to open up again.
Yeah.
We got in there and, but it was just kind of nice because the facility was open and, we pretty much had the run of the place.
Mm.
But the thing about it is again, like I mentioned, it had been in the movies. So they have they did have a lot of props
Oh.
and life-size cutouts
Oh my
of people
goodness.
from the movie.
Really?
It looks really cool in the daytime when you're walking around. It's like a conference room area where they have like a big part of the movie, and that's all still set up. But
Okay.
then, like, as you're like wandering through, they have these cutouts, and during the day, it's like, oh, okay. But once they turn the lights out,
Yeah.
you're wandering around and you
All you're
forget that
seeing
they're
is
there.
yes.
It's like jump scare.
So if you're like, oh,
Yeah, it's like, ah. But so,
they would
so
have
that,
gotten me every time. I already know.
yeah, you go around the corner, it's just like, oh my gosh, who is that? What is that? But yeah, they have some really peculiar areas as well. They have this one room, and it's just a room. There's no windows and only one door in.
Okay.
So I have no idea what it would have been used for. And it's like painted like if I remember correctly, it's like a burgundy-ish dark red. And there's like nothing in there. There's no tables, no chairs. And the guy took us in there. And then, if we all lined up around the outside of the room.
Mhm.
And then he, of course, turns the lights out. And he's like, people have like, Estes methods in here. Some people just sit in here quietly to see, what they hear. You get a lot of people being touched in here, that kind of thing. So we're like, okay, well, that's definitely somewhere we got to come back to.
Yeah.
And then they have this big old chapel. And we didn't spend a whole lot of time in the chapel itself. I mean, obviously at one point it had been beautiful. It has these huge columns and everything.
Yeah.
But it's been worn quite a bit. And then they have multiple cell blocks. Like I said, it took them like 10 years to build the whole facility. So they have the older cell blocks. And I think they're 3 stories high.
Oh.
So you can climb, and it's basically like scaffolding. And
Yeah.
you can climb up there and go
wow.
into some of the cells and things.
Yeah.
And then they have an area which was like solitary. So you go in there and
Dang.
there's like individual cells and there's windows in the cells
Yeah.
themselves, kind of thing. What else was interesting about it? One of the great places we went to is back in the day, a warden, like the prison warden and
Yeah.
his family would live on site.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy. I mean, the warden I can see, or
Yeah.
they have an apartment or somewhere where you
Yeah.
can stay. But like his whole family,
Yeah.
wife, children, whatever, stayed right there at the
Yeah.
facility. And they would have big parties in their apartment, and they would have the the inmates
Yeah.
come and do like talent shows
Oh my god,
for the people that were there for dinner parties or whatever.
that's wild.
And they still have the stage there that they would use.
Really?
So yeah, so that was kind of crazy.
That is.
And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stood out during the tour. They told us, some things to look out for, and then they basically kind of cut us loose.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then we went back to all the places, we thought, oh, this would be interesting, because in the apartment itself, Warden's wife actually had a accident. She was moving something off the top shelf in her closet. I don't know if she knew or not, but there was a loaded gun up there. So when she was moving stuff, the gun fell or charged on her. She didn't die immediately, but she did end up dying from that. So that was kind of sad. But yeah. So that's generally how it started.
Yeah.
And then, we kind of like got our things and went off and did some investigating.
Yeah. So for when you go to these locations and you do like the daytime tour, are you the person that prefers not to be told like things to be expected, or are you more like, hey, I would like to know ahead of time so maybe it's something I can debunk, or how do you feel about that?
For the most part, as long as it's like general history type stuff,
Yeah.
I do like that. Because I kind of want to know the history and because, you'll go to locations and they'll have been many things over the year. And for me, that's just good to know, like when you're investigating. So if things do pop up, like on a spirit box or whatever, or an obulus, was it a hospital? Was it a jail? Was it, a party place? Was it a casino? Was it, a place of ill repute? So it's then if those things pop up, then you can connect.
Yeah.
A lot of times, we sometimes ask them not to tell us like where the hot spots are.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, we do have people on our team and stuff, and they'll actually like sit out of the tours because they don't want to know.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we usually say, give us the history, but not the spooky history,
Yeah.
unless there's something that, you need to be aware of.
Yeah, no, I think I would like that as well. Like, just so that you can draw your own conclusions when you do your own investigation.
Yeah.
I feel like when we get that information ahead of time, and maybe you could perceive our investigation as well. So we're like, oh yeah, at this place they said this should happen.
Yeah.
And like if it like something close to it happens, you're like, oh yeah, that's it. Or like I don't know if I would like that. I think I'm with you. The history is awesome. I love history, especially when these old buildings. I think it's very vital to have that. But yeah, I'm not a big person on the spooky history. I think I want to go through it first, and that's kind of what they did with us when we did the Fort Wayne tour.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, hey, just go and do your thing, investigate, walk around, and we did. And me and this lady smells like a floral perfume, and we didn't think anything of it. And so we came out and we're like, hey, did anybody smell this? And me and her look at each other. We're like, yeah. And so apparently that was like one of the things that could happen. So that was really cool not to have that perception ahead of time that this could happen. It just happened. Like we didn't think anything of it at the time. We're like, oh, it must have been somebody else, one of the other people's, guess perfumes or something. But it was just very quick, and it was just me and her and my husband in this like little space. But we're like, whatever. But the fact that they said something about it afterward, I'm like, yes, this is what I like. It was very cool.
Yeah, I had an experience like that just actually a couple weeks ago. We were investigating a secret location, and it's been around for 100 years, but it's been a non-smoking facility for ever. Since the whole non-smoking thing. And we were walking through, and I'm like, was somebody smoking? And it was specifically a cigar. I'm like, was somebody smoking a cigar?
Yeah.
And one of the people in the group was like, you smell cigar? And I'm like, yeah. And somebody else from the group came over, and they're like, oh my gosh, I smell it over here too. And the person was like, I know specifically who used to be here.
Really? Ah, that's so
that
cool.
was kind of cool because that was unexpected.
Yeah, I feel like the set is almost more cool than actually finding something like visually almost, because I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, it's just more unique. You don't hear about smells very often in different investigations. So that's really cool. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So we're at we got a little sidetracked, but that's okay. We're at the Ohio State Reformatory. So now it's nighttime. Now it's your turn to investigate.
It's dark. It's time to go.
Yeah. About what time do you usually start your investigations? Do you guys have a set time that you usually start?
It's usually predetermined by that location. Okay. A lot of places usually have set hours. Like you can be there from like 6 p.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning. Okay. It just kind of depends if you do the tour. A lot of places, if they know like you're a team or something, you have experience. Yeah. They'll be like, do you want the short tour or the long tour? Yeah. We're always like, short tour, please. Yeah. So more time to investigate.
Nice. Okay.
But this place was great. I think we could get in at like 6-ish.
Nice. Okay.
And then we had it for up until like 8 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think we were like the last ones to leave. My group was the last to leave. Yeah. And we left at like 3 or 4. Dang. But yeah. So once they kind of turn it over, you kind of, from the tour, or like if you're walking by somewhere and something kind of piqued your interest, that's typically where you go. So, we got all of our gear, and I think the first place we went was Solitary. Okay. And it was cool because of the location and just being a solitary confinement. So, the worst of the worst or the troublemakers were there. But unfortunately, we didn't really get a whole lot there. No. And so we tried things, and I like to do like trigger objects. We like to play music, lay on the bed, or whatever, lay on the cot.
You're so brave. I'd be so scared.
We have somebody in our group. We always put her in the closet with a shut door, whatever. She's like, all right, I'm game, whatever.
I love that. It took me a while to warm up to that.
But yes, so we didn't get much there, and we kind of wandered around. And we went to the cell blocks, and we were up there walking around, and there is one cell block that has just a horrible history. There was this young man who was in there when it was a prison, and he swore up and down that he was innocent, and he had like a 5 or 6 year, something like that, stay. And then when he was up for probation, it got denied. Oh, and he was so distraught, he like committed suicide by fire. In his cell.
I think I've heard about that one.
And it's just horrible, and clearly he was either, not mentally well, or he really was innocent and just couldn't handle knowing he was going to stay there.
Yeah.
So we went there, and some people were doing Estes method in there, and that was interesting.
Before we go further, can you explain what the Estes method is?
Oh, sure.
For people who might not know.
Yeah, the Estes method is you use a spirit box that you can connect to like headset or headphones. And spirit box, again, if you're not real familiar, kind of goes, there's some with like a database of words. There's some that like pick things up from like radio station frequencies. And just, it's believed that spirit can speak through those by like picking out words. Like if you ask questions, they can answer. And the Estes method is you put somebody away from the rest of the group, have a blindfold on, and sound canceling headset or earphones, and they are supposed to repeat anything that comes through the headphones from the spirit box. And you ask questions, and then you compare the questions with what they're saying to see if those actually connect or make sense at all. Sometimes they do, sometimes not so much. But it's a cool way to, try to get spirit to communicate. So yeah, there were people in the cell doing that. And then some of us outside of the cell, asking questions and that kind of thing. And they were doing their thing. So I kind of like wandered down a little bit, and I was with somebody else on our team, and we're just kind of standing there looking into another cell, and between us, we hear this huge, like, exhale of breath. And we kind of looked at each other, and I was like, was that you? And she's like, nope. And she's like, was that you? And I'm like, nope. So, something was there breathing with us. So that was kind of cool. That was like the first time I'd like experienced like hearing something that wasn't from an EVP or a spirit box or whatever.
Again, I feel like those are rare too. So when that happens, you're like, hi.
So that was kind of cool. I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. So we did that, and then we went back to the warden's apartment because we thought that would be interesting. So we were there. There's some people already there. They were just kind of doing a session, like with EVP, which is a recorder. The point is, hopefully, even if you can't hear spirit talking to you when you're asking questions, when you go back over your recordings, if they said anything, you would hear it on the recorder. So we were doing that, and we had some equipment out, and kind of wandered around between like the wife's bedroom and the general area where they used to have the talent shows, and then they had the warden's room and like another, maybe like where one of their kids slept or something at one of the bedrooms. So we were in there. And somebody that was with me was like, I just saw a shadow go into that room over there. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go check it out. Yeah. So we go in there and, really didn't see anything. And I'm just kind of standing in the middle of the room. And all of a sudden I smell like cherry pipe smoke.
My goodness.
And I was like, and I didn't say anything. I just said, hey, to the person that was with me, I was like, come on over here for a second. She's like, okay. And she's like, what is that? And like, it's pipe smoke.
Yeah.
And this actually was a connection because, and again, I hadn't even thought about it again, but during the tour, our tour guide had said that the head of the security, I forget what their title is, but he would always come and hang out with the warden and watch out for the family. And and people had reported him being around during investigations, like around women to protect them.
Okay.
And his key thing was when he was alive, he always had a pipe that he had shared.
Oh, interesting.
So that was kind of cool.
Okay, so I got another quick question. Yeah. So when these things happen and you do connect the dots, do you try to like then there communicate, be like, hey, even if you know a name, like, hey, is this you? Like, how are you? I just like you try to communicate like during that moment.
Oh,
like when
absolutely.
happens?
It was more like, I don't know if I could remember his name then or not, but I was like, I'm like, are you here? Thank you so much for being here and watching out over all of us women, because our group is a majority of women. So I'm like, thank you so much for, like being here and protecting us.
So cool.
And, we appreciate that. And I'm always more of the, like, thank you for, sharing with us or whatever. I'm like,
that's how I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when we're doing like a spirit box session or something, if we get anything or our equipment goes off, I'm always like, oh, thank you. Thank you for participating with us. Yeah. They, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, they get so many people in these locations. I'm like, they got to be so sick of people asking, when did you die? How did you die? Who's here with you?
I thought about that as well,
Yeah.
And like not all investigators are very kind.
No.
I think kindness, even on the other side, goes a long way, and I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I know I wouldn't want anyone to come in my house acting crazy and rude and anything like that.
And when we have new people on our team or, even when we're doing a private investigation, like I tell, I always say, like, if it's somebody's house, I'm like, if there are spirits here, and say it's your loved ones, just let them know that you've invited us here to communicate with them, because it's like introducing us.
Yeah.
Because
that makes sense.
I don't want to go into somebody's house and be like, hey, who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? It's like, I always try to treat them like I would treat a live person.
Yeah.
Introduce myself.
Absolutely.
But
very cool.
Yeah. So that experience was kind of cool. Again, that was probably the first time I'd ever smoked.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that.
Yeah, that's really neat.
And then we went to, where did we go after that? I think we just kind of wandered around for a while and, checked on people. And then we were like, okay, let's go to the chapel. And I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but off of the chapel, you can go into one of the cell blocks. And then there's a room off of there. It's used to it was the attic. So it used to be like storage, like when it was first, reform school, that kind of thing. But once it became a prison for it, inmates, what they would do is when the Ohio penitentiaries were at capacity, they would take the worst of the worst and put them in this attic.
Oh, geez.
So it was like Lord of the Flies, Survivor, whatever,
Ugh.
because it was one giant room. And I'd say this room is probably 30 or 40 foot by like 100 foot long.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
it's a huge part of the upper story of this
Yeah.
building. And there's only one door in. They had put some showers at the back, like ceramic, little closet looking things that
Yeah.
had a shower head in them, you know. And when they had people in there, they just had like bunk beds after bunk bed
Oh
after
my
bunk bed.
gosh.
So if you can imagine, at one, it's worst of the worst. They're all crammed in
Yeah.
this little space, no windows, no air conditioning.
I was just gonna say, I already know how hot my attic gets in the summer, so I could not
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
That's
And
terrible.
so there were some pretty bad things going on in there.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, you know, and I think there were five of us in our group. So we go in there and uh again, there's one door in, no windows, no nothing. There's one light switch by the door. And so we went in and we like set up some of our equipment, like kind of further back in the room. There were some chairs, like kind of in the middle-ish area, middle to closer to the door. And we got all of our stuff set up. And we had our chairs in a little circle and we turned the lights out. And so we were just like sitting there. And this was probably late. This was probably about midnight, 1 o'clock
Okay.
in the morning. And so we were just hanging out there. And again, we were just like chit chatting. And we'd been there a while. And we hear shuffling coming from the back area.
Ooh.
And we're like, you know, hey, is anybody back there? No answer. We hear some more shuffling and we're like, oh, you know, there's some equipment, you know, if you want to come, you know,
Yeah.
hey, you know, because we know who was in there, right? You
Yeah.
know, like what type of person. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, it's five chicks up here, you know, we'll talk to you if you want to, you know, come up here, you know, touch our equipment, let us know you're here. We didn't hear much, you know, just shuffling. Our equipment was going off. And we're just sitting there. And we're just like, okay, well, if you're, you know, not going to talk to us or let us know that you're back there, you know, we're just going to have to go. And of course, not one of us had our camera ready or a video going. And all of a sudden, at the back where all the showers were, it looked like a giant spotlight. It looked like somebody was on a stage and they just had the big round circle of spotlight. Right in the middle of the spotlight had to be almost 7 foot tall, shadow figure of a man.
Oh my God.
And you know, we all just like stopped talking and we're looking at this and it probably only lasted like 2 seconds and then it got dark again. And then we all just kind of looked at each other and we're like, we all saw that, right? Every single one of us saw exactly the same
Oh
thing.
my gosh. But none of your equipment had any light that could
Oh,
project
nothing,
like that?
nothing. And then, of course, you know, being good investigators that we are,
Fine.
Judy's like, I'm going to go back there. I'm like, don't go back there by yourself.
No.
You know, so we like flip the lights on and I go back there walking with her and we're looking around just to make sure like nobody that came with us would be pranking us.
Yeah.
But we went back there just to check there was nobody back there.
Yeah.
There was no other way in or out,
Oh
even though
my
we were told there
gosh.
wasn't. But it was a huge spotlight. And the thing is, it's like if it would have been like from the doorway, you would have seen our shadows
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So it was in front of us. And we,
wild.
again, being the good investigators that we are, we probably spent the next 40 minutes trying to recreate
Yeah.
that to see what it could have been. We even had somebody in our group that was like a professional photographer. So he had his really nice camera with one of those big like flash
Yeah.
things on the top of it. And he wasn't in there with us. He was anywhere near there. But he was walking by and he's like, oh, hey. I was like, hey, can you come in here for a minute and help us? And he's like, sure. You know, and he's like flashing it
Yeah.
and like everywhere in the room.
Wild.
It was crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. And that's probably one thing I will never in my life forget. That. You know, and I would give anything if I actually had like a good video, camera, picture, something.
It's crazy that you got the light and you got the shadow figure at the same time.
Right.
Like I've never heard anything like that ever happening.
It was you know, and I mean, I guess we asked him to show himself, so he did.
Yeah.
I mean, again, to this day, I'm just flabbergasted. And everybody in the group saw it, and none of us can explain how it happened.
That's wild.
But yeah, that was that, you know, like your white whale of like,
yeah, I was just gonna say I've never heard anything that would be even close to that.
Yeah.
Like there's shadow figures, but there's never light associated.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just like a spotlight. It's like, okay, you want to see me? Here I am. and it was pretty intimidating.
I was gonna say that's like nerve-wracking because if they have enough energy to do that, like what
Yeah.
else can they do, you know?
Well, exactly,
I'll
exactly.
be like, all right, well, thanks for your time.
Yep. And yeah, and to this day, all five of us are still like, yeah, that was crazy.
That's wild. Jeez,
You
I
know,
can't even imagine.
exactly. What's going to follow that up? You know.
Right,
So
right.
after there, we went to a couple other places. Yeah, that's all we could like think about the rest of the night. But yeah, that was the best thing that happened while we
Yeah,
were there. But yeah, and then we just kind of hung out there, and we went to a couple other
yeah,
places. And again, we were there probably for 9 hours, but I
yeah,
would love to go back someday just
yeah,
because it's such a huge facility.
yeah.
You know, I mean, you could spend 12 hours there and still not see all of
Really?
it. Yeah,
Gosh, that's nuts. Yeah, I've seen pictures, but I know those don't do justice until
yeah.
you're actually there.
Yeah.
Like, I can only
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah. I mean, and that was just like the jail stuff. Like, we didn't even have time to go, like, because part of the tour they took us like through where like the original offices or the intake areas
Okay.
were, or a lot of like the, like where they filmed like the office scenes for the movies and
Yeah.
stuff. Those were all tiled and the
Aw.
woodworking was beautiful. We didn't even get over there to investigate.
Oh
I
my
mean, so
goodness.
yeah, we
Yeah,
probably
you
need
definitely
to get,
need a return trip for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Someday,
Yeah.
someday.
Ah, it's not too far,
Yeah,
right?
no, it's like 5 hours.
Yeah, see, we can do that. We for planning a trip to, I know it's not paranormal related,
Yeah,
but I just realized how close West Virginia is. And I've been meaning to go to Point Pleasant for the longest time because
okay.
that's where Mothman lives. And my goal is to do like investigating there. They have a couple apparently hot spots there as well. So
Yes.
that's our trip in the fall is happening.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
here you go. You mean West Virginia.
Yeah.
So it won't be that, probably won't that be that far away. We went last August.
Mm-hmm.
Just a small group of us went and we went to the West Virginia Penitentiary. And we rented that for the night,
Yeah.
but we got there early enough, like during the day for like $15. They have like tours, like a tour
Okay.
guide, and they'll
Yeah.
take you through everywhere. And I mean, honestly, I got the creeps more during the daytime than we did at night.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
gonna look that up now.
So
Thanks.
definitely do that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's right. I'm sure it's the Ohio River
Yeah,
because
that's
Ohio's
really
like on
close
one
too.
side of it and
Yeah.
West Virginia's on the other
Yep.
side of
We were
it.
actually going to be staying in Ohio, like,
Okay, yeah,
or yeah.
it's right over the
Oh,
bridge.
really?
It's right
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
Yep,
so maybe it is close to Point Pleasant.
yep. And there's a huge burial mound
Yeah.
right across the street from the prison
Oh
too.
my goodness.
And there's like a little museum. It's all free. The museum, there's like a little museum you can go in
Yeah.
there and it tells about it and like the history. And it's
Nice.
one of the, there used, I guess that whole area was covered in like burial
Oh
mounds
my
at
gosh.
one point, but now there's only a couple left. So
Ooh,
this one is, and you can climb up it and go to the top.
interesting. I'll
If you're
have to
there, do
check it
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks
Yeah.
for the pointer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I always drag my husband along. He never has any idea this is ever happening. So,
There you go. Nice little surprise.
yeah, he'll be like, I'm gonna stay here. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I do have a couple follow-up questions since you are a paranormal investigator. Just like how to get started. What advice would you give if somebody would really like to get into investigating? What are your like beginning steps or the things you've learned along the way?
All right. Well, first I would say find a buddy. Don't
Yeah.
don't ever go do things by yourself,
Yeah.
just for safety. And again, if I had been in that room by myself, I would be the only one that saw that,
Yeah.
the big spirit, the shadow. But don't ever go by yourself. Don't trespass. Make sure that it's okay for you to
Yeah.
be wherever you want to be. And you don't need a lot to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I would suggest camera. You can use the one on your phone.
Yeah.
Just take pictures, just take lots of pictures and take like 3 in a row of
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're taking a picture of
Okay.
because you never know what you're going to catch. I would also say a recorder. You can use the one on your phone.
Mm.
I have like a little handheld recorder that you can, turn on and off and they have they range in price anywhere from
Mm-hmm.
like $15, however much you want to spend. I love my little handheld recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think I get better like EVP results with that than I do my phone.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, you can, though that's all you need to get started. A lot of people go to cemeteries to
Mm-hmm.
get started, and I'd say that's fine as long as be respectful.
Absolutely.
It's
Mm-hmm.
people's loved ones are there or whatever. But yeah, as long as you're respectful. And then there's usually always some kind of tour or something going on if you want to do that. And again, they range in price anywhere from
Mm-hmm.
$20 to hundreds of dollars. So it
Yeah.
just depends how much you want to do. But yeah, any location that's got some history or whatever,
Yeah.
you can go there and see what you can find.
Very nice. What is your favorite tool to use while you're investigating? Do you have one?
Well, I have a couple, and it just depends on what the situation is.
Okay.
I use dowsing rods. Use those for communication and for finding energy.
Okay.
So I do like my dowsing rods, and you can use those anywhere, inside, outside. Some things have been very surprising that I've been able to do with them that I was like, oh. So I like my dowsing rods, and those are very basic. I do have an SLS camera.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. You have to be careful, because it will pick up a chair as a person.
Okay.
But as long as you, are aware of, the situation and what's there in the dark, then, that it's always fun. Then any kind of device that they can communicate with you is cool. I mean, a lot of people use cat balls, because they're relatively inexpensive. Yeah. And it doesn't take much to set them off, but it's all of that stuff. The cat balls, if it moves, it goes off, there's stuff going on. Yeah. K2s aren't real expensive either. Yeah. And those, they can touch it, whatever. Yeah. Communicate with that. Any of those, any kind of communication tool is always fun. But yeah, the dowsing rod, because, that's communication too. So. Yeah.
Very cool. Is the K2 similar to an EMF? Is that the same thing? Okay, cool. I actually just got one of those. Oh, yeah. Very cool. Yeah, it was very inexpensive. But then it also gives you it kind of makes me think that maybe it's not legit. But I mean, I've tested it here and there, and like things that should make it go off, and it does do. Yeah. So I haven't used it quite yet. But yeah, I'm excited. I got the dowsing rods, and I now have the K2.
Okay, yeah. And K2s, yeah, you just, obviously keep it away from your phone. Yep. Because that will set it off. If you put it on the floor somewhere, just make sure there's no wiring under there. You just have to be aware of those things. And actually, I learned a tip. If you have the cat balls, because of course they're balls, so they roll if it's on a surface. But somebody, when we were in New Orleans, the team there said an easy fix for that. And I was just like, is like the cap off like a soda or a water. Yeah. Just set it on there.
I never thought about that.
Because then they can still touch it, but it's not rolling around. So I was like, oh.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
So now I have a little Ziploc bag of lid.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, and sometimes a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not psychic. I don't feel anything, whatever. But I do think that if you just kind of like center yourself and just kind of feel, especially if you do it a lot. Like, I think I've gotten better at it because I do it so much. You can pick up on things that and you don't need any equipment for it. Yeah. Obviously a good tool.
Yeah. I feel like I might be that one that I'll feel or sense something, but then I feel like, am I overreacting? Because there's been times where that's happened. I'm like, oh, no, I don't think that's actually it. Like I doubt myself.
Don't doubt yourself. I do the same thing.
Yeah, but it also, I'm like, it's something that you can't like let go of at the same time, Yeah. Like even in this building, I get a little creeped out. Like I said, I haven't noticed anything. It's just a feeling. But it is a really old building too. Yeah. So who knows what's lingering,
Absolutely. Go with your gut. It's hardly ever wrong.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. What would you like people to understand about the spirits at the Reformatory? If they were to come visit, what would be one thing that you would want them to really understand about this?
Well, and I mean, people go to places like the Reformatory, and it's a prison. Yes, really bad people were there. But, just because they did one horrible thing doesn't mean that that's the whole energy of the place. I mean, I never felt that I was in danger or that anything was going to try to harm me. Just be aware of that and be respectful. Yeah. And just, don't antagonize stuff, but yeah, just be aware that everything there is not bad. It's not evil. It's not ill intent. Take in whatever you can and appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to my next question that you mentioned like ill intent or maybe something that has the negative energies. I'm assuming because you brought that up, you believe that there could be like spirits with negative energies or negative intentions. Isn't that something that you believe in that can happen, or have you experienced something like that? I guess I should even ask.
Have I ever experienced anything really evil or negative. Probably once
Yeah.
when I was a baby investigator. I was with another team.
Okay.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the thing I tell people
Mhm.
is if somebody's a jerk in life, they're going to be a jerk in death,
Yeah.
you know? And, but a lot of times, yeah, I'm not going to say there's not negative or horrible energy out there, but
Mhm.
for the most part, and I've been doing this almost 10 years now,
Okay.
I've never really felt, like I said, in danger or
Okay.
the evil is encroaching
Yeah.
or it's, nothing that we couldn't handle as a team
Yeah.
take care of, especially when we're helping people in their homes and things.
Yeah.
We'll get calls and they're like, "There's a demon in my house." It's like, no, it's not a demon. It's again, spirits can be jerks.
Yeah.
If some guy's lived in his house and he was a get off my lawn kind of guy,
Yeah.
and now you're living in his house,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like, get off my lawn,
Yeah.
and either you gotta make an amends and figure out how to deal with it, or decide he needs to move on.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, but just again, always be respectful
Yeah.
and just be aware. Again, if they were a jerk when they were
Yeah.
young, they're a jerk now.
Yeah, it can
I
make
mean,
sense.
yeah, when I was in New Orleans, in one of the places we went, we experienced spirit of this guy who had actually murdered a few women. He was just kind of a jerk. And he was like trying to we were using a spirit box session, and he was just like saying all this horrible, nasty stuff. But he was trying to make us be uncomfortable. He was trying to scare us. But you know what, your dad, you don't scare us.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Um, and so again, they'll act out, but you just handle it with
Yeah.
grace and respect and move on.
Yeah. So for those situations, especially that one,
Mhm.
as a baby investigator, I would also be very intimidated. So after investigations, do you guys do any sort of cleansings? Do you do any meditation, grounding, or anything like that to just
Yeah.
clear your energy, just in case something
Yeah.
tries to
Yeah.
backpack home?
Yeah. We actually do it before too.
Okay.
We'll do. Well, we used to do it as a team. I don't force anybody. I don't force my whatever on anybody. I
Yeah.
just tell them somehow protect yourself, whether it's
Yeah.
a crystal or a crucifix or whatever, or just a prayer or don't touch me, leave me alone kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I usually do like a prayer before I go in
Yeah.
to do an investigation. And then if we're doing a private one, we always ask the client if they want us to cleanse their home
Mhm.
or for them when we,
Yeah.
and I usually, if I'm doing it, I usually show them how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I figure this is your home.
Yes.
You need to cleanse it. I'll help you.
Yeah.
But then if you want to do it again, now you know how to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's only been a few times that I've really felt the need to do an actual cleanse of my whole self when I
Yeah.
left an investigation. But usually, it's we kind of do the, whatever's here, you need to stay
Yeah.
here. You can go to heaven, you can go to hell, you can go wherever you want, but you're not coming home with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also do just a prayer of
Yeah.
thanks for protection and whatever.
I feel like it's always safe. I even do it before I
Yeah.
read my tarot cards.
Yeah,
Always ground
absolutely.
yourself. Always ask for that protection. You
Yep.
never have too much protection.
Exactly.
Nice. Very cool. Now, before we leave, your investigation group, do you guys have a Facebook page? Do you have anywhere where people can come and visit you guys or kind of watch your investigations or get updates?
We are on Facebook under Detroit Rock City Paranormal. We have a website, DetroitRockCityParanormal.com. We do have Instagram, again, on the same name. Hopefully soon we're going to have a TikTok page. We do have all those. And then if somebody needs help or they need an investigation or just have questions, out on our Facebook, there's a number to call too.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you, Kelly, again for sharing your experiences and perspectives as both a paranormal investigator and just your personal experience. And any advice that you gave us. That's awesome. Thank you again. Listeners, if you've had an experience of your own, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or you can email us at grimhappeningspodcast, all one word, @gmail.com. Until next time, trust your intuition, protect your energy, and stay safe, friends.